If we learned anything from watching Better Call Saul, it's definitely the fact that we don't really know which characters have a family or family members that we don't know about. Two prime examples that come to mind is Chuck McGill and Lalo Salamanca. And if we want to do a sneaky third one, it'll be Mike's son, Matt. And you know what? Let's throw in Nacho in there as well, because he was technically an honorary Salamanca, that is, until he said the most iconic last words of all time in the entire series.
When you are sitting in your shitty nursing home and you're sucking down on your jello night after night for the rest of your life, you think of me.
But with that in mind, I want to explore the possibility of characters who might have family out there that we just never see, like Jesse's aunt or Brock's dad, whoever he could be. And side note, I do have a theory about that in particular if you want to check that out later. But the character that I would assume to have a secret family or family member would definitely have to be Gale Betiker. I don't know what it is about him, but he just gives off this little brother energy, especially during the scene where Walter replaced him with Jesse. I mean, seriously, look at his face right here. Look at that. He looks like he just got his favorite toy taken away. And technically, that's exactly what happened here. But instead of a toy, it's the lab that he built and designed, by the way. And even though there's no mention of him having a family, I would still think that Gale would maybe have an older brother. And maybe that older brother could have dabbled into the criminal underworld. And maybe that person could have connected Gale to Gus. And to explain why he wasn't in the show, we could just say that he was in prison for crimes. And after a few years, he was released around the same time that Walter killed Jack. And with literally everyone dead or on the run, he spends the next few months finding out what really happened to his brother. And that brings me to the reason for making this video. I'm working on a story involving Saul Goodman and this mysterious brother of Gale Betiker, and I want to show you a little clip of my latest video where I explain him a little more in depth, because why not? But before we get started, if you could leave a like on this video to support the channel, I'd appreciate it. And if you want more stories like this where we explore potential characters in the Breaking Bad universe, well, just comment down below and I'll do my best to respond. But with all that out the way, let's get into it. Over in the hospital, the 6 guys that Saul beat up are now bandaged and in recovery. And after giving a statement on what happened to them, the police take into account brain damage, because one of the men tells them that the person that did this looks very similar to Saul Goodman, the lawyer in Albuquerque that's been on the run for years. But given their current condition, the police would see this as just the ramblings of a man with head trauma, and the cops would end up leaving the room to look for clues elsewhere. But shortly after they leave, the real boss comes in the room, and when seeing his men beaten and broken, he demands to know who did this to them. And the same guy tells him while pulling out an old matchbook, It was him. And when taking the book of matches and seeing the face of Saul Goodman, we pan up to see someone we haven't seen in the Breaking Bad universe until now. And that's the older brother of Gale Betiker, Gale Betiker. And while holding the book of matches, it brings him back to the last time he's seen his brother, which was when he was actually driving him to Albuquerque. Because when Gus and Gale connected for the first time, it was through a scholarship program. And once Gale became eligible, Gus basically offered him everything but a ride there. So as the two brothers talk, Gale assures him that the things that he's going to be able to do with chemistry is definitely going to put him in the history books. And seeing how excited his brother is about this new opportunity, he gives him his blessing before they part ways. But as he watches Gale walk into the Madrigal Electromotive building, he would have no clue that this would be the last time he sees his brother. Because even though they talk on the phone pretty regularly, Gale is so obsessed with his work that he wouldn't even want to have visitors until he perfects the project that Gus Fring assigned to him, which would be making and testing meth to get it to a purity never seen before. And after 3.5 years of doing this, Gale is actually introduced to Walter White. And while he thinks that he's found the person who can push him into greatness, within just 5 short weeks, Gale gets a visit from someone who shoots him in the face. And while we as an audience knows that it was Jesse to kill him, the actual case of Gale Betiker's murder was never solved. So as everyone begins to forget about the once great chemist, the one person who was still fighting for answers was his brother. And after months of getting nowhere, in the wake of Walter White's shootout with Jack, after the police searched the compound, they were actually able to recover the tapes that Hank recorded of Jesse. And when recounting the story of Gale's murder, 3 people are implicated in his testimony: Walter White, Jesse Pinkman, and Saul Goodman. And with Walter dead, the only other people to go after is Saul and Jesse. And after the bus fight, Saul's been put at the top of the priority list, not only for the fact of putting his men in the hospital, but also because he is just as much to blame for what happened to his brother as Jesse is. And when coming out of his flashback, he once again looks at the old Saul Goodman matchbook and he tells his men, "We know he's in the city, now bring him to me." And one of the less injured men would say, "I think I might know where he is, and I can have him here within 24 hours. He says while taking out his phone to reveal a picture of his lock screen, and it shows the same woman that Saul was standing up for while on the bus, letting us know that this could be a boyfriend that maybe didn't take a breakup so well, and if he has her on his phone, then maybe he also knows where she lives. Hey everybody, and thank you so much for watching this video. And again, this was just a short clip from a longer video coming soon. It may be out already. But I made this because if you didn't know, or if you're new to my channel, I'm a huge fan of the Breaking Bad universe. And even though I still have hundreds of ideas to cover, I also want to start to dabble in the unknown side of the Breaking Bad universe, where I start to speculate on different characters, or even how certain characters are doing 10 plus years after the series. So if you like the sound of this, or if you're just a big fan of Breaking Bad as well, I recommend checking out something else on the channel. Because so far I've covered at least 70 different scenarios, and I don't have any signs of stopping anytime soon. But that's just me. But now I want to hear from you guys. What'd you think of this video? And more importantly, who is the next character that you'd like for me to explore? Whether it's canon or non-canon, I'm more than happy to entertain it. So whatever it is, let me know down below in the comments and I'll do my best to respond. Until then, my name is Merge. Later.